Do y'all document how many ODs y'all go throughout the day?
Dude, crazy. When it was heroin, first week of the month. Second week, slow down. Third week, people be beating the shit out of each other. Fourth week, withdrawals. Fentanyl so goddamn cheap. Oh, and people are drunk now. Fentanyl so cheap now, it's all month long.
It's all month long.
Heroin, low income, poverty, 20-year-olds, late teens, once in a while, 40-year-old, once in a while. This fentanyl, teens, 60-year-olds, Pacific Height doctors, down and out in the TL, dude, it is fucking crazy.
Okay.
It's so goddamn cheap.
About how many ODs do y'all go throughout the day?
In the city, I'm not sure, 50, 60.
50 to 60.
Easy.
But the city has said that the overdose rate is down.
Hey, welcome up.
I call too.
How about the city say about the TL? That's
The first thing that pops into my mind, why the heck is it so cheap? Does it make sense there's so much on the market? It doesn't even have a price? The fact that it affects young people by choice, but you have a hard time changing the law, that's a little wild to me. And then at the same time you want to say, well, it's going down. I think the homeless encampments are growing more and more. Because you decriminalize everything and then you help them. You need syringes? Don't use the dirty one. We will provide you with clean syringes.
Thank you. I call too.
how about the city say about the TL? That's
Thank you. They say it's cool out here. They say it's safe.
The way he dropped that thing and looked back like, what do you mean it's safe? It's not safe. Stop stalking, boo. I don't wanna curse, but you understand my point. If somebody really cares about their job, about helping people, and he sees this, and you tell them it's safe, it's going down, that's so disrespectful.
They say it's cool out here. They say it's safe.
get shot. I guess somebody getting shot right there in the Leavenworth the market an hour ago.
Wow.
Not in the hand, right in the gut.
Wow.
Middle of the afternoon. 40
Yeah.
got shot in Union Square.
Yeah.
Middle of the day.
But it's safe.
Newspaper says.
Now, yeah, the newspaper. I don't believe the newspaper. I believe what I see. I live here.
You're wrong. That's anecdotal. Somebody needs to tell you they did some research and you better believe it, because if you don't, that's misinformation. That's why we need democracy and more control of freedom of speech or freedom of your eye. But what they forget, I have 7 eyes that are free.
I live here. So I believe what I see. Y'all see more than me because y'all always riding around. So y'all know.
This fentanyl, and it isn't just us. This fentanyl, Chicago, Seattle, New York, LA, it's everywhere.
It's interesting that he mentions left-leaning cities with certain policy, but let's just assume he's a white Trump supporter and he just wants to push a message.
Yeah.
There you go. Take some steps back.
That Trump is one crazy fucker. But
There you go. Take some steps back.
that Trump is one crazy fucker. But China was importing it as like nuts and bolts until he became president the first time. Then when he became president the first time, he was like, hey, wait a minute, Mr. China, that's fentanyl. And so then they shut it down.
Right.
The cartels aren't even messing with marijuana and heroin because you got to grow that shit. This stuff's so goddamn cheap.
It's so cheap and it's easy to get. Easy
And
to
the
make.
reason they're lacing the pot with it's because the pot on the street's a tenth of the cost of the dispensary.
Yeah.
Why are you gonna pay $100 for clean marijuana when you can get marijuana right here for $10
Correct.
and just roll the dice? It doesn't have fentanyl in it. And the dealer said the reason they're putting fentanyl in it is because it gets them fucking hooked on it.
Yeah.
That's scary. I didn't know they spray it on the weed. And here are 3 reasons why they can never solve this issue. 2023 is San Francisco's deadliest year ever for drug overdose. Solution to crisis may be in the wastewater. San Francisco is losing a generation of black men to overdose. It's worse here than anywhere. You look for racism. I'm like, no, it's your policies. San Francisco fatal overdose crisis was decades in the making. Kinda sure, but you made it a little extra with your policies. I mean, in 2020, you decriminalized the drug because you think you're sending too many people in prison. In 2024, you're like, oh my God, we have a gangster issue. But you don't want to return it because you see sending people to prison worse than giving people more access to fentanyl, even if you consider it might be a crisis, while looking for 3 random issues that never really help the issue.
The insurance companies you would think would want us healthy, but they actually make more money if we get sicker. And then, of course, the pharmaceutical companies, if you have a chronic disease, you're a lifetime patient. This drug, Ozempic, costs $1,500 for a week. And there's now a bill before Congress that would force the insurance companies, Medicare, to pay for it for every American who's obese. Well, that's 74% of our population.
Right.
That's going to be $3 trillion a year. And for a tiny fraction of that, you could give every American 3 meals a day of organic food and diabetes would disappear overnight. You know, diabetes is treatable with food,
Right.
with exercise, and obesity is.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but if you want to waste trillions of money, which you can just replace it giving people 3 meals a day, you don't have to work. I'll give you free food.
Well, now just people will just be like, Ozempic. What is your energy on that?
Oh boy, I'll start with this. Up until now, my strong opinion is we are in the beginning of the most effective medical intervention for obesity that we've ever seen in our lives. This is going to completely revolutionize and change pharmaceutical industry. That's how powerful these peptides are. That being said, okay, it's not a panacea. So here's what they do. And I'm not going to get into the science, but let's talk about why people lose weight on them. You eat less. It crushes your appetite. For somebody who's really struggling with severe obesity, I could see this as being profoundly beneficial in combination with good coaching on changing behavior so that this is something that sticks. Because once you go off, then your body probably will, your appetite will probably go back to where it was before. So if you work with somebody with a GLP-1 through modifying behaviors, that's where we could probably use it. Massive potential for abuse. That's the fear.
I keep saying I'm not a doctor, but if somebody is like, I'm taking these pills because it's easier to lose the weight because I have no time, I'm like, yeah, but are you going to take it forever? Are you going to tell the government to pay for it? Because if you tell the government I need to pay more taxes because you might be lazy, I'm like, I don't know. Why should I care about you because you're lazy when we can find a solution to help more people and have more money to help more people all around instead of focusing on obesity?
This drug, Ozempic, 50% of people have nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The other side effects that aren't talked about enough is gastroparesis, which is a paralysis of the stomach, where your stomach doesn't empty anymore. Also pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, but this also leads to diabetes, and you gotta remember, the whole purpose of the drug initially was for what? Diabetes. So now you're getting pancreatitis that's affecting your diabetes, but that pancreatitis can also be fatal. There's a cost to pay. People don't know that you have to take this drug. You can't stop taking it. Once you stop taking it, the weight comes back.
Hold the, you trying to tell me if I'm spending $16,000 a year for a whole year, I lose 60 pounds, I go through some of that side effects as you just said, I'm gonna go through something. I'm gonna get the weight back after wasting that money. Some of those effects stay with you though, right?
Yeah, they're permanent.
And my advice is, if a doctor spoke like that to the person that's going to take it, to be honest about the thing, I would accept it if you want to take it. At least you know the consequence. I think a lot of people have no idea. There was even an article talking about investigation links to Ozempic and eye rotten disease that makes people blind. I'm like, miss me with that. I have one. I have no time to deal with that.
As everyone knows, once a drug is approved for Medicare, it goes to Medicaid. And there is a push to recommend Ozempic for Americans as young as 6 over a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago. Since 74% of Americans are obese, the cost of all of them, if they take their Ozempic prescriptions, will be $3 trillion a year. This is a drug that has made Novo Nordisk the biggest company in Europe. It's a Danish company, but the Danish government does not recommend it.
I find it rather odd that a Danish company is building something that they can't even sell in their own country, but they want to sell it in another country. It makes me wonder why America really wants that.
It recommends a change in diet to treat obesity and exercise. Virtually Novo Nordisk's entire value is based upon its projections of what Ozempic is going to sell to Americans. For half the price of Ozempic, we could purchase regeneratively raised organic agriculture, organic food for every American, 3 meals a day, and gym membership for every obese American. Why are members of Congress doing the bidding of this Danish company instead of standing up for American farmers and children?
Let me understand this correctly. You can help with half the money, 3 meals, organic, and a gym membership. You can solve almost everything. Maintain people healthy. Use that to make people go forward. But you're like, nah, man, it gives you too much power. Let me control you better. Free Ozempic. Eat whatever you want. That's like, yeah, you don't say that directly, but you don't try to stop me.
Don't get me wrong, ako sa kitabang Puta fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam turlo que ta verde ta welcome